So CAPI is Conversions API is Facebook's fun new name for something that's existed actually for years. Now, I've been using server to server in Facebook since I think 2016, 2017. So it's been around, 2018. 2018 is when we implemented it. Sorry, my memory's going bad. I need some more topo. 1 second. So server to server on Facebook, I think I have been actively using it at least $10 to $20 million in revenue a year since 2018. Millions of users, tons and tons of stuff, all sorts of really nice sounding fucking numbers that don't really mean that I'm any smarter than anybody else. This means I've been exposed to information. So, and we've had case studies on it back then for the server to server. Now, it's been called CAPI, Conversions API, which sounds maybe less threatening, but is a nice name because Facebook's really starting to install more engineers on it. And you can tell when Facebook install engineers on things because they give it nice little names and make it really easy. So CAPI, which we'll call server to server from now on, basically follows people around. Now, what CAPI does is it provides a safety net in providing duplicitous information based on what the pixel sees. So that maybe the pixel sees you go into a store, you do 20 things. Let's say the pixel, for whatever reason, catches 16 of it. And let's say because of some ad blocking or something else or some other privacy settings, half of those things are removed. So the pixel might only see 8 or 9 things that happen. But the server is going to see almost everything except for the stuff that you've specifically legally prevented it from being able to see. And the way that Facebook is now tracking this is it's going to say, what are the last things that you've done? If you added to cart, great, it's going to track you as an add to cart. But if you ended up purchasing that item, it's only going to say that you purchased. Now, the doom and gloom of all of this is people say, well, all of our retargeting audiences are going to be completely fucked because we're not seeing add to carts, we're not seeing view contents, all this stuff. You shouldn't fucking retarget somebody and add to cart if they just bought. Don't fucking view content or retarget somebody if they just added to cart. The further down the funnel somebody goes, the more actionable their behavior is. Now, where this really impacts people inside of Facebook is the complexity of their ad account structures. People, including me, years ago, used to have a fuck ton of ad sets targeting everything from like add to cart one day. And I think, honestly, in my original ebooks that I wrote like 2-3 years ago, and saying how you build a retargeting campaign had all of these structures built out with the, and I go up the chain. And for you guys to understand, if you want to know the primary actions that you can retarget, the most qualified action is add to cart. And then it's view content. And then it's like page visitor. And then it's engager, right? Site visitor. And then it's engager. People that have engaged with your content, i.e. they've liked, commented, shared. And then above that, it's like video viewer. And then above that, it's like page likes and all of these other things that don't really matter at all. But the point is you can't do one without doing the other. So there's this funnel that builds, that's why it's called a marketing funnel, where the smallest audience is at the bottom, and that's your add to carts. And you can't add to cart unless you view content, which is a product page view. And you can't view a product page unless you've been to the website. And you can't go to the website inside of Facebook without having engaged with a Facebook ad. So engagers is above that. So there's this like structure that goes. Now people, when focusing in on this like doom and fucking gloom around iOS 14 blocking information, they're saying, well, our retargeting audiences are going to be completely fucked because we can't track all this information. The honest truth is you shouldn't be fucking worrying about that anyway, because you don't need to worry about an ad to cart that already made a purchase. And if it's not a large enough audience for you to take action on, go to a higher level audience, because just like interest groups are unstable, just like these very small targeting things are unstable, just like all of that level of customization raises your CPM and is a liability for you. The same thing works in retargeting. So go as broad as you can and only focus down very narrow where you get a benefit. And the honest truth is I'm seeing much better results in just targeting site traffic from the last week or the last month than segmenting out every little fucking step. You don't even necessarily have to go much further than just targeting broad and letting it see the whole fucking funnel. And I've seen so many people in the last, it's been great to see, but all these folks are challenging it. Somebody tweeted out, and I've seen this success too, where there's like, I don't even have retargeting campaigns anymore. I'm just targeting a lookalike and a broad, and I'm letting it see the whole thing. They're following the best practice Facebook taught us in 2018, citing a Bombas case study that I've seen repeated literally hundreds of times. They don't have retargeting campaigns. They're not using that exclusion. They're saying, hey, Facebook, I'm going to give you $1,000 today, $500 today, $100 today, 10 grand today. I just want you to go find the best person, whoever the fuck it is. I don't care. Just go out and do it. And their cost per sales and their ROASs are great because they're paying the least amount of money for that inventory, and they're letting Facebook find the best users. Now, in situations where you can't do that, because maybe there's some ass backwards person running the management team that says, well, we need to spend 35% on retargeting and 65% on prospecting, and that's just our business model. Like, great, understood. You came up in the days of Google and something else. You don't understand how an optimized machine learning platform works, but those are the situations you're in. In those cases, then you can try to go broad with your retargeting and then maybe micro segment the absolute very bottom of the funnel just so that you're stealing those sales if it provides an incremental lift to your overall efficiency. So the point of all of that is CAPI makes it really easy for us to click one fucking button in Shopify and give a safety net to the Facebook pixel. And honestly, I'm seeing people do it without even installing pixels other than on their conversion objectives so they can track the information. Now, that's probably too far, and I don't recommend that you do that because Facebook pixel information is still how Facebook interprets it, but that will change as well. So, what is CAPI? CAPI is a shorthand term for server to server, which means your store talks directly to Facebook. And instead of having to use cookies and third-party tracking information and all of that other stuff to see what's going on in your store just literally runs a receipt on you and then tells Facebook when you leave or not when you leave, but anytime you do something, it just says, hey, so-and-so did this, so-and-so did this, so-and-so did that. Which means Facebook is getting real-time information from the source, right? It's not like hopefully everything is set up right. It is the fucking like security camera sees everything that you're doing and reports it back in real time. Generally speaking, and you can see the difference inside of the data set. Like maybe, you know, your pixel saw 75% of the information that CAPI did. So CAPI is just backing it all up. Now, the reason for all of that I want to be so specific is because I've started to see people say, well, Facebook says the CAPI is not even really helpful. And they'll cite this last fucking paragraph and the description of CAPI saying, well, with iOS 14, you might not be able to see as much information, blah, blah, blah. That is a legal requirement for Facebook to say that. Now, I've seen people say, well, because it's not going to be helpful, then why are we even going to use it in the first place? My response to them is very simple. If you're not going to install CAPI, if you think that that's not worth your time, the next best approach for you is to get the fuck out of running Facebook ads because you're not interested in actually determining success. It is fundamental to getting things done. It is 100% of the people should be doing this 100% of the time. It's not like an opinion around a best practice. It is, do I want a machine learning platform, an algorithm that requires data to optimize towards my business objectives? Do I want it to see data so that it can optimize to my business objectives? The answer to that is 100% of the time, yes. And I'll even go so far as to, I know some insider information, Apple has a giant social media marketing team that uses their information to track insight, even though they don't spend a fucking penny on social media marketing ads. I used to work at an ad agency. You can see it in my bio if you want to go that deep on anything, where there was literally a whole separate building and a dedicated team of 12 people that were monitoring social media advertising for Apple that didn't spend a fucking penny. And it's because they're able to see all this information. And those people have installed CAPI. They're not even fucking running ads, and they're using it so they can use the Facebook insights and audience information to understand who the consumers are and their response to content and intent. That's what Apple is doing. The people trying to stop all of this shit in the first place. So fucking Apple is doing it, and you're sitting high and mighty saying, oh, I don't think I want to do this thing because I don't feel like succeeding at my job or doing anything worthwhile is worth my time. Then your best bet is to just fucking get out of Facebook ads. So that's my editorial. I see one question over here in the chat. Let's see. Denise. Hi, Denise. Oh, fucking sweet. This is the first comment I'm getting inside of StreamYard that is actually coming from the group. This is awesome. I'm so excited. Thank you for whoever hit me to StreamYard. I think it was Alex. or Steven, and some some Euros that I was chatting with late at night on Clubhouse. Anyway, Denise says, so CAPI has always been around as server to server. It just has a cute name now. Denise, that's 100% right. CAPI has always been around. And to be fair, almost every platform has this. Google has it. Pinterest has it. I don't know if Snapchat has it. More old school platforms have this type of integration. It's called server to server. Whether paid media platforms or not, there's server to server solutions for inventory management. There's server to server solutions for content management. There's server to server solutions for HR. This is just a standard way of doing things. The cookie, the Facebook Pixel, was a shortcut to this thing that used to exist. And nobody really invested in it, including Facebook. But now that that cookie is really getting attacked by Apple, they're really working onto this thing as the next bit of solution. And remember, Apple is using CAPI. So if you're not, just understand that basically what you're saying is you don't really, success isn't something important to you. And if your customer says, hey, are we using CAPI? And your response isn't yes, or we're installing it today because, again, on Shopify, it takes like fucking 3 seconds. Then what you're telling them is no, and go fuck yourself. That's your response. So anyway, that's my editorial on it. Oliver just commented, yeah, just connected in Shopify and gone back. Oliver, like, I love that. It is really fucking easy to do. It's a fucking click of a button, and that's why it's your homework for the week. So I'm opening up for questions now. If anybody, I guess we have a Clubhouse room going live here. If you want to ask a question and you don't mind being part of the show, raise your hand. And or if you're just watching live on the Facebook, please go ahead and ask questions, because I'd like to make sure we use the best case of this time. And at 11 o'clock, I'm going live inside the Mastermind Slack group. Because we do that live every week. There's a special, video chat there. So I want to make sure that we use as much time here to help you out as we can. And until then, so anyway, here we go. Wait, we got a question from Peter. Let's see, Peter. There you go. Hold on a second. Let me raise my volume on my phone here so that I can hear you, because I had it on mute because fun stuff. Anyway, Peter, welcome, my man.
You're going off on a Sunday morning, Charlie.
I go off every morning, buddy. This is me every day.
I'm just getting my coffee down. You're delivering gold for everybody.
I love it.
I love it too. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
By the way, you guys, I don't know if you already followed Charlie, but he's the man. He's just like, he is the Facebook guru. I've never known anybody drop so much in-depth knowledge about Facebook. And I don't have a question. We kind of talked about this yesterday on the Clubhouse, but I've been doing more research about it, and I just wholeheartedly agree with you that we have to install Conversions API or CAPI, because this is the way things are going to be in the future. And it's not just Facebook. Facebook is reliant so much on conversions, not just for the tracking, but to optimize the audience targeting over time. So this is what it's going to be. And the point of me getting up and saying that too is that Facebook's the first. Google is already looking at what they're going to be doing, and I don't think they really have quite decided on how they're going to do it. But they've committed to the same kind of privacy policy as Apple has through their browsers, and so they're looking at different ways to do it. And what I've seen is that they're going to be more or less measuring conversions, not through individual personalized privacy data or data that should be, gated by the individual user, but they'll be doing it in cohorts. So they'll take a group of users on a platform, whether that's a browser or in an app or on an operating system, and they're going to pool together the data. And they think that they're going to be, I'm sure Facebook is too, they're going to be 90 to 95% accurate with conversions there. But, without CAPI, without doing it this way, we're basically flying blind. Would you agree, Charlie?
Yeah, I would agree 100%. And there was a period of time, I remember running Facebook ads before the Facebook Pixel actually existed, before we had a conversion pixel. And what we used to do then, so that everybody understands, like, what's the absolute fucking worst case scenario, is that you're able to tie conversions you see, sales that you see on your store back to impressions by uploading offline data, which you can already do, which means at the absolute worst case scenario, Facebook is fundamentally more powerful than television will ever be. And people were spending millions of dollars a day on TV. And I learned all of this stuff because one of my old vice president bosses was a VP at Guthrie Ranker. And she spent like $100 million a year on television. And so I learned how to track from her with no information. And so all of this shit that we're used to that is like doom and gloom and it might go away is a fucking luxury most people don't remember not having. It's like, you know, electricity or indoor plumbing. Like, people lived for thousands of years before that existed. People made millions of dollars really easily before all this stuff existed. And they're probably going to continue to do that even if it goes away, because entrepreneurs are going to find a way of making this work. And also, at the end of the day, the platforms will find an economy of scale that works for them. If there are less advertisers on the platform, well, the impressions might be easier. If you know, at the end of the day, what they charge for a CPM is completely an arbitrary rate. They could charge less and just not let everybody spend in full. There are so many variables into the auction that the number one thing we have to keep focused in on is making the best ad we can and allowing Facebook to find the right user for it. So creative testing, broad targeting, know your numbers. That is the way you're going to succeed. The people that push back against that are not actual practitioners. They're agency folks and solution providers. And remember, an ad agency at its core, now this is fundamentally changing and I'm very happy with it, but let's just say 80% of ad agencies, really it's like fucking 99%, but whatever. An ad agency is an investment bank. More than importantly, they're an investment banker. They get paid on a commission on the number of transactions and the overall volume of spend. They don't get paid if you do well. They don't get paid if you do poorly. That doesn't fucking matter to their bottom line. Their bottom line is, we're a sales team convincing you to write a giant fucking check. We're going to take a chunk off the top and get a management fee for doing it for you. And hopefully we can make you happy enough to sign a check next month. That is the entire fucking business model. So just to kind of get to a point there, like I want to be real specific. That is how agencies are built. And I think those people that are not aligned in success are going to see some real failure. And for what it's worth, to the second point that you're talking about, Google and other places finding solutions. So while Apple has directly called out Facebook, Facebook is the only platform that is making this open and direct solution to try to help. But Google is doing something in the back end as well. Google's actually going to the point where, like your point to cohorts, they're trying to get rid of pixel reliance entirely. And they're saying that they're going to have a confidence level of 95 to 98% on using cohort data, which we can get down into some other time if you want to. But that is basically really fancy words to say we're going to use an Excel spreadsheet to prove to prove that we're right or wrong. And so we're seeing that happen as well. And I'm completely open and welcome and excited about all of these solutions, because at the end of the day, something will work. And I don't care who makes it work, because this is also a copycat business, right? Whatever works will be copied everywhere. Snapchat got adopted into Instagram, which got adopted, and then TikTok came along, and we have YouTube Shorts. Like, whatever works, works. So people will continue to take that and run with it. And to your point, I also got a question here from Denise. She said, should we still bother with the Pixel if we do server to server? And Denise, yes, still do the Pixel, because right now the internal algebra and the way the machine learning works inside of Facebook is reliant on that set of data. We're not to a point where we can completely move on into the world. To use my example before about like electricity and running water, like there's still times when we do things with other technology, right? Like I still have a gas stove. Maybe that's a bad analogy. I'm going to abandon that right now. But my point is, until they tell us that we don't need that information, still include it, because those pixel pieces are how the internal algebra is really running. And you'll probably be elite and you can be way ahead of the curve by avoiding that entirely, but you're going to pay a premium by being too far ahead of the machine. So until they tell us otherwise, let's continue to go with it the way it is. I guess a better analogy that I could think of is, we have gasoline engines that run on like 88 to 92%, whatever. Now, there's also like race car engines and specific gas, high octane stuff where you can get like 110, like this super high like efficiency gasoline. But if you throw that in your car, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get like it can cause damage because it's too much. If you get reliant on purely using jet fuel inside of your your Honda, it's going to fuck things up. So yes, there's a better solution, but until the entire machine is built to use it, don't abandon the basics, the brilliant basics that got you here. And honestly, I don't know, and I'm just using my tinfoil hat to try to predict the future. I don't know that the Pixel will ever truly go away. I think that the way that it is utilized will still be functional for one reason or another. Maybe in 3 to 5 years, what they call the Facebook Pixel now will be replaced by additional technology, and it will evolve. But that implementation that we see now will still exist at some point in time, because ultimately what it does is it says, build an audience out of people that do this thing, optimize towards this action, and give me a monetary value of X, Y, and Z behavior. And that's going to have to be done in some sort of thing. And honestly, like a pixel is a modification of a cookie, which is a modification of a tag, which is a modification of other behavior. So it's still stuff that existed many, many years before an optimized CPM or server to server, or like all this CAPI stuff is built. It's just what's the next utilization of that technology and what do we call it? So, in a very long-winded answer, continue to use your
Charlie,
Facebook Pixel.
I think you're on jet fuel.
I do have cold brew in my fridge that I use espresso and make cold brew from it, and I just get hyped. What can I say? I slept well, and I mean it's probably 80 degrees, 75 degrees out here in Los Angeles. It's hard to be upset, and I'm motivated, man. This is what I do.
It is. Well, you were on here when I went to bed last night, so I was wondering if you got any sleep.
I got a little bit. I tell you. I think we were in a room in the Hustle Club. Great room. Definitely should join that group. My man Fitz is phenomenal. But we were in that because I had to go to my office to grab a new monitor. Not that anybody gives a shit, but I had to go to my office to grab a monitor, and I realized that. And my office is in Westwood, over by UCLA, and I live in East LA, so. It's about 5 miles, so it's a 45-minute drive down Sunset Boulevard each way. And I went there and grabbed my monitor, came back, and I realized that I'd left like a power cord. So I had to go back there and come back. So I ended up spending 3 hours on the road up and down Sunset Boulevard last night, which, again, sounds just tragic. I know that there are violins around the world pleading for me that have to go up and down the Sunset Strip at like, in like 8 o'clock at night. But yeah, so I signed on then, and when I got home, it was time to spend it with the fam. But yeah, so it was great to be in that room and help out. And I think I ended up watching an episode of Bar Rescue and passed the fuck out watching, Investigation Discovery, because I don't know why. I sleep really great with like murder plots going on in the background. And I woke up this morning refreshed and ready to go.
That's sick and disturbed if you're going to bed to murder plots.
Yeah, what can I say? That's just the way we roll here in this house.
All right, Charlie, my 4-year-old is begging me to go play with her, so I'm going to go do that. Thanks so much for jumping on.
Thank you.
I'll see you soon, bro.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Thank you so much. So, hey, everybody, if anybody else inside the Clubhouse room has a question, or if anybody else inside the stream has a question inside the Facebook page or the Facebook group, I'm here to answer it. Otherwise, I go live inside the Mastermind Slack group at 11, and we're going to be finishing up the new ebook. So I guess while I'm here, for those of you that don't know, while I do all of this stuff for free here, there is FacebookDisruptor.com, my website, which brings you straight to a Patreon where you can join in for a monthly subscription, which you can cancel any fucking time. Because, whatever. And inside of there is over 100 hours of video like this, as well as, I think, 17 ebooks with a new one each month, as well as articles that I write for different publications, and a bunch of your questions and answers that you've asked me there that people have allowed me to publish. So there is an archive of a ton of information. And I actually yesterday made a video on how to walk everybody through it. And in addition to that, for the next tier inside the Facebook Disruptor is a Slack group. So it's all of that stuff plus a private Slack group where we've got dozens of channels talking about all sorts of fun stuff, and it's super cool. And after we do this live, we go in there and it's like, okay, instead of trying to talk to 13,000 people on the Facebook group and all these people on the page and everybody in Clubhouse and all this stuff, it's a very structured deep dive and Q&A stuff into like the ebooks and to other things. So we go there and we try to do that. And I think the people that really benefit from that are the folks that are spending at least like $500 to $1,000 a day because it's worthwhile for them to join. And then I also do have business solutions where companies will come in and they'll join and bring all their, they'll bring a fair amount of employees in. And so we try to find the right solution for everybody. And I just want to try to help as many people as I can in the way that is best fit for all of them while scaling my time, because my time ultimately is not infinite, but it is a finite resource, and I want to be as helpful as I can to everybody. So with that being said, those are all the things. If you do the homework this week or any week, you can get any of the ebooks for free or 50% off FacebookDisruptor.com. And if you want to get, theoretically, if you wanted to get all of the ebooks for free, you could just go back over like the last dozen or so, maybe 20 lives. You go straight to the homework, do the thing, which will probably take you, honestly, if you really put your mind to it, you can knock the whole thing out in 2 hours and you would have all of the ebooks for free. And then when you have questions, you can ask them because I'll answer all of the questions here live on the air every Sunday morning until football season, and then it becomes Saturday morning. And then if that is successful for you and you're doing well in business and you want to level up and it's worthwhile for your bottom line, you know, there's another level of access. And I'm just trying to provide the right structure for everybody. So I'm open to feedback. I'm trying to do everything we can. I'm starting a YouTube channel and a podcast. It'll be just the lesson sections of these live videos. And my man Jake is helping me out with that. And I'm just trying to do the best I can here to be as helpful as I can to everybody else. And I really want to say thank you to everybody. I've been doing this thing for about 2.5 years now, and it has fundamentally changed my life, which I'm so happy for. And on top of that, I think that it's been great to see success. I'm not going to start running off names, but legitimately, I know ad agencies that are doing much better. I know brands that have succeeded. I know people that were, you know, stay-at-home moms or stay-at-home dads, or people that lost their jobs, or people that were working in like the service industry or like Uber drivers that are now able to use this type of thing to provide for themselves. I was talking with a guy yesterday, and I'll end with this. I was talking to my buddy Court yesterday, and Court was a guy I met around the way, and he was, you know, working part-time as a, you know, as a, I think a waiter at like a tequila restaurant, and you know, working with him, he was able to, over like 1.5 years or so, get a job working for some guy, running after some guy from Shark Tank, and ended up building up an agency, building an information product, and then getting really good at drop shipping. And now he employs like 8 people and does really well for himself. So, I mean, that's just like one thing. And he messaged me yesterday because he's trying some new thing and he needs some help. And well, I'm always there to help people out, because helping you all answer your questions absolutely helps me. And I just realized, Connor, you were raising your hand, so let me get you on here before I sign off. We got Connor, but I'll end with this before Connor comes up. Did I hit the thing right? Let's see. I think I hit the thing. Let's see. Okay, great. So before Connor comes up and says something, helping you all makes me challenge my assumptions. And if I don't have a good answer for you, then that means that I need to do some learning. And sometimes the dumbest question or the simplest thing fundamentally change the way that I run ads and will do my job. And it is phenomenal. And I think that one of the things that really helps me keep my knife sharp and keep my kung fu strong is answering the questions from people. Because a lot of times when you don't know the right or wrong answer and you ask a question that somebody else is supposed to know the answer to, if I can't give you a response to that, it means I got learning to do. And that has made me so strong. So you're helping me just as much as I'm helping you.